Okay. Let me just make sure this is working okay. No, that's the sound of something that's not working. Oh, there we go. Have we? Delayed, right? Okay, cool. All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you very much, and for your patience as well. It's been a long day for me, to be honest. So my name's Kevin Bennett. My job role, I travel from country to country, work with governments, companies, brands, organizations, and I'm a strategist. So a lot of strategic things that happens around the world, they'll come to me for advice on how to deal with certain things, and I'll break down some of it. I'm gonna partially show you guys how to do things from a psychological perspective, how to control your world, and how to control worlds around you. Please be ethical when I show you this, and feel free to ask questions whilst we're doing it as well. And there's a lot of us around the world as black people that are doing some really powerful things behind the scenes, and sometimes we're hidden behind the scenes and people don't know what we're doing and how powerful we are. Yeah? So I'm going to share some things with you today. Do you want it? Yeah. I'm also the author of the book, Who Helps the Helpline When the Helpline Needs Help. And I'll break down what that's about as well.
Title.
Yeah? Okay, so, let me try to skip past this. Oh, back to making noise again. So as I said, let me go back a bit. So I come from Brixton, Stockwell Park Estate originally, and coming from Brixton, especially in the 90s, was a war zone. You know, I was stabbed on 4 different occasions, died on the operating table one of the times. I've had a brother that was shot and killed. I've had a son that's died. I've had 3 other siblings that's died as well. So a lot has happened over the years, right? But nevertheless, as much as we all go through our trials and tribulations, and especially our traumas, we have to always make sure that we remain consistent in our focus and our direction, and learn how to deal with our traumas as well. Because many of us, we walk around carrying our traumas, and it destroys us, and it destroys our relationships, and it destroys the world around us as well. So we have to know how to filter certain things out. Yeah? Okay. So a part of when I was growing up, I started to see, living on Stockwell Park Estate, that people around me were really struggling. And I was too young at the time to understand what that struggle actually meant and where it came from, where that trauma came from. But I started to see, as I got older and I started to mature, that most of my friends weren't bad men, they were men that were hurting. Yeah, and sometimes we confuse the difference between someone who we think is bad and someone who is hurting. Yeah, so I traveled to over 25 countries solely studying human behavior. I wanted to know what makes that person successful, what makes that person happier, and I started to find some very interesting findings. Right, so this is one of my talks here. And also, I'm not sure why it stopped. And so I went to, one of my missions when I was traveling around was to talk to all different homeless people and find out why is it. So from Italy to America, right through, I wanted to find out, why are you homeless? What was your journey? What was your adventure? You didn't wake up one day when you was a child and said, I want to be homeless 20 years from now. And then I went to different places. I lectured at universities, spoke on TV, worked with all different types of people. And then I started to mediate between tribes. So tribes that had conflicts, I was mediating between the tribes. And people were like, how did you manage to mediate between tribes? It's like, when you come from Brixton, you can mediate with anyone.
Come on.
Yeah,
That's right.
Right.
That's right, Kevin.
And then I started to work with politicians and MPs from Greece to Tunisia, UK, all different countries. I started to work with different politicians who needed my help. Right, once again, we don't know how powerful we are until we get into certain environments and we realize how much people want to take from us and how much people need us. Yeah? And then it got even bigger. Companies like Shazam came to me, Barclays, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So up until this current day, since 2010 until now, we've helped 1.2 million people globally. Yeah, with their mental health, with their growth overall. Thank you very much. Thanks. So let me go into it. So this ain't about me, I just wanted to show you. So one of the things I started to discover, and I had to create the book when I was looking at trauma overall, that the journey and adventure of understanding trauma and human behavior first started off understanding the people around me. And I started to interview different types of professions. So I wanted to talk to doctors. You know, you being a doctor, what makes you so successful? Why did you become a doctor? And after year 5, something interesting started to happen that changed my whole view of life. And this is the cornerstone of me needing to write the book as well, from the angle that I wrote it. I noticed that occupations were vibrating in frequencies. Has anyone ever heard that before? That occupations vibrate in frequencies. Do you know what I mean by that at all? No?
That there's certain levels of energies in the hospital, for example.
Yeah, the actual occupation itself was vibrating in the frequency. Okay, so let me show you exactly what I mean. Occupations by stress. I first wanted to research what occupations have the highest stress no matter where you go in the world. And this was my findings. The highest stress levels. Right? Then my next mission was what occupations have the highest depression rates. This was once again my findings. But it became even more interesting. The next question I asked was, what occupations have the highest suicide rates? Now, let me get some answers from you. What occupation do you believe have high suicide rates? Anyone?
Politicians.
Street drivers, possibly.
Police. Doctors, isn't it?
Police, possibly. Doctors.
Construction workers.
Construction workers, exactly. Yeah? And it's so. These are the highest suicide rates. Exactly. Dentists. Do you want me to tell you why dentists have some of the highest suicide rates? It's a very interesting thing, right? I was looking into this for about 6 years. And I've interviewed and spoke to so many dentists. I'm talking about hundreds of dentists. Yeah? I'm going to tell you something what I want you to look at and identify. When you go into a dental practice or clinic, you'll notice the size of the room, firstly. The size of the room is normally the size of a prison cell. That's number one. Number two, it's mundane, like a prison cell. So it's just very kind of clinical. Yeah? Some dental practices also don't have any windows. So that's the basics. Now think about that person being in that room for 15 or 20 years. All right, you get to go home on home leave. Let's call it home leave. But then you go back to your prison cell. But it gets even deeper than that. The chair is the equivalent of an electric chair.
That's right.
Because when people sit in that chair and they start to drill on their teeth, the body stores the trauma. Trauma stores in the body. When we talk about trauma, trauma is a bodily thing. So when the body stores the trauma, so your mind psychologically knows, I'm here to get my teeth done and my teeth are going to be better off because of it, but your body doesn't think that way. Your viscera doesn't think that way. Your body just stores the trauma. This is why if someone's been through some abuse in their life, the first thing they do when someone raises their hand around them is they flinch, because the body is going into protection mode. Yeah? When they use the drill is the equivalent of the electrocution. So how does that affect the doctor? Two things. Number one, compassion fatigue. Every time the doctor's got to deal with that person in pain and reacting to their pain, the doctor's got to apologize and try to be calm as possible, right? But now do that for 100 people throughout a month or so, yeah? And then the second one is called secondary trauma. So the frequency of the person actually gets brought over to the doctor himself. And the doctor stores the trauma within themselves. And then there's all these other factors that, as I talk about in the book, that makes that the case. So that's one of them. That's not even all the others that I've researched going right down the list of people who have high suicide rates. Here's one of the reasons, one of the ones that I'm really fighting and I'm really advocating for. For example, doctors and surgeons. Let me explain that one very quickly. In places like America and different parts of the world, something interesting happens. If a doctor shares what he's going through, I'm going through stress, I'm going through trauma, I'm going through depression, they can lose their license.
That's true.
So that's the bureaucracy of it all. So if a doctor says, this is what I'm going through, they may take away his license. The board may take away his license. So what does doctors do? They suffer in silence. Or they go from one state to another state trying to seek therapy, but they'll never use their name. And so amongst their peers, they come across strong and they come across all these kind of things, but they're really suffering in silence. Hence the term of the book, who helps the helpline when the helpline needs help? Yeah? But also as well, it's not just about professions, it's about you as well. Who helps you when you need help? I mean, truly helps you. Who serves you? What I also discovered as well about black men and mental health is when black men express themselves in public, like they cry like Tyrese or someone like that, right? They're laughed at. Black men cannot make mistakes in public without them being a meme, without them being the laughing joke of other people's conversations and podcasts and interviews and shares and likes and all the rest of it. So black men tend to suffer in silence. Now, it's something interesting, a new finding that I'm finding about women. Women internalize more than men do. And what's starting to happen now is we're starting to find out through research that when women are not expressing themselves and talking and having therapy and sharing without them just kind of being dismissed or seen as moody or moany, women are actually getting cancer. They're actually finding that cancer and their immune system is breaking down because women are internalizing their issues because they don't have an outlet to share with. So there's a problem, especially within the black community. Women are extremely strong, but it's breaking our women as they get older and mature in life. So we have to have outlets to release ourselves. We have to have what I call circles of confidence, people that we can share with. And I always talk about 3 sets of 3. And here's what they are. One of them is based upon your belief system, have a conversation with God. Second one, have a conversation with a therapist. Third one, have a conversation with someone who's understanding. But don't share with the wrong set of people. That can be counterproductive. Yeah? Now here's the other 3. You have 3 worlds and never ever mix the 3 worlds up. Never mix the 3 worlds up. You have your secret world. Share your secrets with God. You have your private world. Share your private world amongst your private people. You have your public world. Keep your public public. People tend to mix all 3 up. They share their secrets in public. They bring their public into their private world, and it causes massive problems. Right? If you want to maintain your mental health and your family's mental health from these kind of perspectives, do not share the privacy of your marriage or your love life in the public, and do not share your secrets sometimes within your private world, because your partner may not can handle certain secrets and may throw it back at you at another time as well. So just know exactly how to navigate your world in order for your world to have harmony. Yeah? Does that make sense? Yes? No? Yes? Okay, right, so let's go forward. I didn't realize I was going to be talking so long about this particular part. Okay, so this is something I ask when I'm working with all different types of people. I like for us to do it together right now, okay? I'm going to ask you, within the last 6 months, yeah? Within the last 6 months, have you been feeling this particular feeling? I just want you to put your hand up as I go through them, and I'll explain exactly why. So, in the last 6 months, have you been feeling a sense of hopelessness? Yeah? Okay. In the last 6 months or so, have you been feeling depressed? Or I tell you what, let's do it another way. If you also know someone that's going through it, okay? So you can kind of be on that side of that person as well, because I want to show you how to deal with your emotions and what they look like and where they come from. So if there's someone that you care about and love that maybe also going through this experience or this emotional feeling, we can also find ways to help them today as well, okay? So today's about solutions, but we need to identify before we can put a solution in place, yeah? So let me ask that question again. In the last 6 months or so, anyone you know or yourselves, do you know that if they've been going through depression? Yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, cool. In the last 6 months or so, anyone that's been going through overwhelming fear? Yeah? Okay, thank you. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you. In the last 6 months or so, anyone been feeling ashamed? Yeah? Okay. In the last 6 months or so, guilt. Do you be feeling guilty? Yeah? There's something interesting about when people put their hand up. You normally can tell how someone puts their hand up in relation to their self-conversation as well. So sometimes if you feel the embarrassment of how someone puts their hand up and when someone feels strongly about something as well. So just own your moment. It's fine, just own it. It's yours, we own it, and then we get rid of it. Yeah? In the last 6 months or so, have you been feeling just numb, apathy? Just feel like you haven't connected at all? Yeah? Okay. In the last 6 months, about grieving. Grief doesn't mean just death alone. It could be the love, or you could have a relationship breakup. You could have a friend that you was close with once and you're not close with them anymore. So grieving is not just sometimes someone passing away. It's a disconnect or a breakup of some form of friendship or love life as well. Yeah? In the last 6 months or so, feeling insecure. Yeah? Thank you. The last 6 months or so, feeling anxious. Okay, thanks. In the last 6 months or so, I'm going to say this quite a while, so work with me here, yeah? Feeling rejected. Yeah? Thank you. How about loss? Yeah? Don't worry, this is going somewhere. Don't worry about it. I'm not just being nosy for no reason. Yeah? Feeling hurt. Yeah? How about feeling overwhelmed?
In this shopping centre.
Yeah? You felt it. How about feeling sad? Really sad, like, oh my gosh, I feel sad right now. Yeah? Also, you can represent someone that you know as well. It could be a cousin or a brother or a sister or so. You can kind of work on their behalf, okay? How about feeling loneliness? This is the first time I've actually felt real loneliness, to be honest with you. It's very interesting. You know, there's a family of 6, and there's one brother I don't really get along with, so let's put that one aside. And then when my 4 other siblings, 1, 2, 3, when my 3 other siblings passed away, it's the first time in my life that I've realized that my family is small. And I felt an overwhelming loneliness.
You lost 3 of your siblings.
Yeah, 3 of my siblings. One got shot, one died of an aneurysm, and the other one was because of diabetes. So I was the youngest of a big family. Then one day I woke up and I thought about it and I said, there's only 2 of us left.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you don't get on with them?
No, well that's my sister I get along with. Yeah. So all of a sudden I felt loneliness. So loneliness can seep in from some very interesting places sometimes. Yeah. In the last 6 months or so, you've been feeling jealousy. Jealousy is different from envy, by the way. A lot of times people mix up jealousy with envy. Sometimes jealousy just feels like that should have been mine. Where envy is more of an envious dislike for another person because what they've got. So sometimes that jealousy could have been, I should have been in that position because I worked hard for it and I don't have that. Right? So it's like, you know, don't feel too bad about it. Okay, angry, feeling anger. Okay, do you know where anger comes from at all? Does anyone know where anger comes from?
Fear, sadness.
Anger comes from lack of control. That's what anger is directly disconnected to, a lack of control. Yeah? I should re-explain what each emotion means and where it comes from. Because it's all a science. Sorry?
The feeling of anger is like, I would imagine someone who's feeling angry and goes to smash something. They're the ones who are lacking control.
No, well, everyone expresses anger in different ways. Some people internalize their anger.
Yeah, is that losing control if you internalize it?
If you internalize it, you still lost of control because that's what the feeling is connected to. Is the fact that you've lost control. So anytime you're angry, ask yourself, what is it that I cannot control? Yeah? Anger's always connected to a lack of control. Right? I can give an example if you want to give me one. So if you said, I'm angry because of this, we can point out where the lack of control is connected to it. Yeah? So it's important that we know what our feelings and our emotions are connected to. And so every one of these is a science. Right? The next one is feeling disheartened. Yeah? Let's go to the next one. Feeling worried. Really worried. Does anyone know where worry comes from? Anyone know?
Fear of abandonment?
No. Worry comes from imagination. You're imagining the worst case scenario. So imagination comes from worry. Yeah? And worry comes from imagination. Does that make sense? Yeah? So you're anticipating something to happen. Does that make sense? Yeah? You're anticipating that's going to happen to me if that doesn't happen in time or whatever. I'm going to lose my house if I don't make money.
Yeah,
So you're
looking in the
imagining.
future.
Exactly.
Rather than just
So
today.
we have to understand the science of all of this. Yeah, it's very important, right? Doubt. Doubt. Yeah? Doubt's connected to self-esteem. Yeah? You're doubting something's going to happen. That means you don't feel like you can control the situation. So how we deal with doubt is we become educated and we take action, even if it's small action. And the more action we take, the more results we get, which then lessens the doubt. Yeah? The next one is disappointment. Do you know where disappointment comes from? Expectations. Yeah? Next one, frustration. Where does frustration come from?
Can't deal with something.
Sounds like control as well.
Once again, yeah, lack of control. So frustration quickly moves to anger, and anger is connected to frustration. Yeah, so anger is a deeper level of frustration. Okay, next one, boredom. Anyone been feeling bored?
No, I don't.
Boredom is actually the silent killer, believe it or not. Boredom is very, very dangerous. Boredom will make you drink tea with the devil. Yeah.
Well, how do you
Bored
get
people.
bored? You can just go and wash up, isn't it?
Yeah. Bored people tend to make the worst mistakes that could destroy their life. That's why I always tell people, clear your phone now. In your moments of boredom, do not message the wrong person. Don't message that ex. Don't do certain things. Get rid of whatever is dangerous around you when you're bored. It's very, very interesting. Yeah. Next one is feeling pessimistic. Once again, it's connected to, I don't believe it's going to work. Sometimes I don't believe anything's going to work that's positive. Yeah? So let's go to burnout. Be feeling burnt out, connected to overwhelm. Yeah? So these are, well, I'm going to explain. And also just notice that they're all in red, by the way. Now we're going into yellow. Anyone been feeling confused? Probably about the world that they're going into, their life at this current time. Confusion. Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Feeling optimistic. Yeah. Last 6 months or so, been feeling optimistic.
I think sometimes you can feel two of those emotions, both the positive ones that you're talking about now, and some of those maybe what might be historically attributed to negativity.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to break that down how it happens as
Okay.
well. Yeah, I'm going to break that down. So thank you. Bear that in mind. Yeah? And then we go on to the next one, which is who's been feeling content, fulfilled, grateful? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. I want you, if you can write it down or write it in your phone, I want you to just be aware of which emotion seems to have that continuous control over you. Because we're going somewhere with this, by the way. I'm just not asking questions. We're going to round it up and get it into a certain place, yeah? So, and this, when I'm working with my clients, by the way, this is what I do. When I'm working with governments and companies and organizations, sometimes I may ask it from the perspective and angle of a country. Where do you think the country's in? Where do you think your constituents is in? So we ask it also from different angles and perspectives. I'm doing the talk at a US embassy tomorrow. And I'm going to be talking on this, and I know exactly what they want from me because they've called me in and said, can you give us that? It's a whole lot of MPs and the head of police, the head of fire services, the head of councils and all the rest of it, yeah?
Make sure you have a good breakfast.
Thank you. Who's been feeling passionate, enthusiastic? Wow, I believe you. Your arm went so far up so fast, yeah? Okay, let's move it up. Happy. Happiness? Yeah? Okay, feeling loved. Okay, brilliant. So I just noticed that you weren't there. Yeah? Alright, so why do I ask you these questions? So first and foremost, we need to find out where these emotions come from. The negative emotions. So these 8 fears that control your emotions, this is how governments control people, and this is how people of strategy control people as well. So I don't want you to be controlled. I want you from here on to know when an entity is coming into your life and an entity is going to try to control your life. Yeah? And in order for us to walk with confidence, in order for us to walk with power in the world, in order for us to be powerful, we need to understand the science. It's all a science. Yeah? This is one big game.
That's right, bro.
Right?
That's true.
Okay, so let's go into it.
Let them
Yeah,
go.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Sorry, do you do these splits in the book places?
Sorry?
Do you took out those splits as well?
In the book?
Like tomorrow? will you do-
Yes, yes, yes,
Really?
yes, yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I'll talk from a different perspective. Yeah. Okay, so 1, the fear of criticism. Who's been feeling like, do you know what, I don't want to do that because I'm going to be criticized, I'm going to be laughed at, I'm going to be gulped at. So anyone that has fear of criticism, you do, yeah?
I'm just about to do some training.
No, I do it.
Yeah, one of the fears, yeah? Okay. Please write these down, it's so important because there's a science to all of this. And you'll 2 days from now, you'll be like, get it. Yeah? Trust me, because normally people call me 2 days later. There's something about 2 days, yeah? Okay, next one is, well, judgment, fear of criticism, fear of judgment. Next one is the fear of poverty. Anyone fear of being poor? Yeah?
Don't get no.
Yeah?
Very rich.
Okay? Alright. Fear of poverty. The fear of death.
Yep.
The fear of death. Yeah?
The unknown.
Okay.
Leave it on. Just stop
The next
fearing.
one is
Yeah.
the fear of losing a loved one.
What was that?
The fear of losing a loved one. Yeah?
No, I don't really.
Okay, so that's fear number 4. Fear number 5 is the fear of ill health.
Yeah.
Deep, deep.
Yeah? Okay. The next one, the fear of success. That's a very interesting one. Fear of success creeps up on people. They don't even know they exist sometimes. Yeah?
And you can
But
sabotage it too, isn't it?
that's where self-sabotage comes from. Yeah? Okay. The fear of old age. We see it in skin creams everywhere, right? That's what the whole beauty
That's
industry is
not for
pretty much
melanated
about.
people.
Yeah?
I work with those.
Alright? And the final one is the fear of failure. The fear of failing. Yeah?
To a degree.
So let me ask you a question very quickly. Which one of these do you believe is controlling your emotions regular? Your worry, your doubt, your anxieties. Which one of these, or which ones could you say, I feel this makes me anxious, or this makes me worried, or this makes me concerned? Anyone identify any?
Fear of ill health, probably.
The fear of ill health?
That stops me from going to get things checked out, that make sure I do it for my husband, for my children, but not for myself.
Right. So can you see that this fear number 5 is controlling you? Can you see that? Yeah? I want you to really sit with that.
I think
That is controlling you. That is controlling your existence. It's controlling your wealth. It's controlling your growth. It's controlling your success. It's even controlling your connection with
what about
people.
fear of failure?
Yeah. Fear of failure for you?
Yeah.
Tell me one thing that you're afraid of failing.
If I'm doing something and if it doesn't work,
Yeah.
I fear that it doesn't work.
Right. And then how does it make you feel?
Like a failure.
But what emotion, what feeling would you say? I
Oh.
feel frustrated, I feel angry with myself, I feel doubt, I feel worry, I feel, what feeling comes into your world?
I feel I've let myself down and let
Fear of
others.
disappointment.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the fear of failure is connected to disappointment.
Mm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Just sit with that, it's going to make sense.
So
Sorry,
what,
go ahead.
so what you're saying there, brother Kevin Bennett, is that anything that you're afraid of is what controls you in the now.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's to identify that.
One of these 8 fears control your world. And here's the thing, do you see the little demons in the background? Do you know what these demons are? Teachers, family members, social media,
Voice in a voice.
friends.
Mm-hmm.
These are the ones that entertain these entities. That's why they're called entities.
Come on.
The entities, because you wasn't born with the fear of old age, but someone turned around and introduced it to you. All of these were introductions into your world. This is why one culture and another culture looks at it completely different. So now the question I'm also going to ask you is, where did these entities come into your world? Where did that fear of ill health come from? Did a family member, I would assume, in your life that went through something and it scared you? Who was that family member?
I don't think it's that so much. I think it's the fear of the unknown. It's fear of only knowing half of yourself. So wondering if the half that has maybe caused ill health for several people that I'm connected to.
Exactly,
whether
7
or
people.
not-
Who were those 7 people? Not who were they, but there was 1 or 2 of those people that triggered that trigger for you.
But it was from I was small, so
Exactly.
it felt like it was just the loss
on.
maybe of not having a father, not having somebody around, not being able to identify that way.
There we go.
And then people asking you, what's your family history health-wise as you start getting to a certain age, and only being able to give half
And
of it.
do you see what I'm saying to you now?
Yeah.
The entities, that entity came into your world. That's why I knew straight away when you said that. From even when you was putting your hands up, to be honest, I really worked out 90% of the room. I just want you to see it. Yeah? So these are all entities and they come from somewhere. All of your entities come from somewhere. That's why they're entities. Right? So we need to know who those entities are, where they came from, and why they're controlling you. So now you've got an idea of where the entity came from, how it controls your world, and how it makes you feel. Just from us just having a quick conversation right now. And just do the same with yourselves as well. Yeah? Okay. So let's go on to the next part. Am I boring you? Is this okay, buddy?
Absolutely not, man.
Is this cool?
So-
Yeah?
Brilliant.
Right. So, did you want to ask a question?
No, I was going to say if you could make the front size. Like, no,
Oh, sorry, I can't make it smaller. We are kind of right. How are we for time? Are we okay?
We're okay, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So, now this becomes even more interesting as we go along. Here we go. I think it was cool. You can take some pictures for us so I can get it back afterwards, please. Yeah, thanks.
Sure.
Feel free to snap some pictures as well. Okay.
Oh god, my battery's going. But yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't you taking it on air?
Oh no, that's more filming, but just a different angle. Yeah.
He knows what he wants.
Okay, so do you remember I said to you before? Now we're bringing it together. So we've got our entities right here, and then these are the vibrational frequencies. Do you realize now? Remember we talk about love, depression, all the rest of it. Now, why did I say this? Why did I bring this all together? Oops! Oh my gosh, this is from our talk. I've got to explain it because I've actually stripped something out that I should have kept in for today. I'll tell you the reason why I say that. We're all made out of atoms. Yeah? Everything on this planet is made out of atoms. Inside of an atom, you've got protons, electrons, neutrons, quarks, photons, and so on and so forth. but I'm going to only talk about 3 constituents. Protons. These here are protons, positive energy, positive feelings. These here are electrons, negative. These here are neutrons, like the dimmer switch that sways from one side to another. These negative entities control your electron world. Now, anyone heard the term misery loves company?
Yep.
Well, the actual real term is frequency loves frequency,
There you go. That's right.
right? So, when you're in electron zone, you're tend to connected to electron people, electron conversations. Now, when I say electron zone, we all go through these. I'm talking about if you're consistently there. If you're consistently there, you're going to start realizing that the people around you start to change. The positive people start to move away. And the negative people start to stay. Why is that? Because protons and electrons cannot be together. They have to be apart. And what holds them apart is neutrons. Yeah? So you've got that person in between that you could slightly give you a bit of hope to move over to be a proton. Now, if someone jumps from hopelessness to happiness, what is that called? Anyone knows what that's called? If anyone jumps from one polar to the other polar, what is it called?
Bipolar, did you say?
Bipolar. It is.
It's facts, that's
Bipolar.
facts. It's
This
facts.
is the depression of polar, and this is the mania of polar.
That's deep. That's deep. Come on.
So they jump from electrons over to protons. So one minute they're happy and they're running around,
Yeah.
next minute they're back in a depressed place. But they can't be in 2 places at the same time.
There you go.
That's where the
There's a
polar
lot of
comes
people
from.
with that.
Teach, bro.
Exactly. Is this making sense to you at all? Yeah? So there's a science here. So I want you to identify, like when I'm working with some clients and they tell me about how sad their life is, I know straight away about everyone around them. Everyone around them is vibrating in the same frequency. Everyone. Everyone. Right? But here's the interesting thing. When you're in a proton zone, you're the light. And it's getting dark outside. What wants to get to the light that's outside at night? The moths. The moths are the electrons that want to be a part of the protons. Because negative people are attracted to the light. And their number one goal is that you dim your light. So when they get to you, they break you. That's why a lot of women are in a good place, like fixing men sometimes, and the men breaks them. You can't. So you have to say to people, if you want to be with me, you step up, but I'm not coming down.
Yep.
And most people go down into the darkness, hoping they can save people, and they stay in that darkness. Is this making sense at all?
Is that where they're trying to rescue them?
Yes. Yes. Right. So you have to make sure you're in a proton state and you remain in the proton state. Don't go into the darkness. I don't know if you remember an old horror film called Poltergeist. Do you remember? Do you remember what the woman said? Marianne, come to the light. She's not going in there. Come to the light. Right? So you tell people, come to the light. But I'm not going in the darkness because I may not come out. Not all of us come out of our traumas. Yeah? Is it making sense at all?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Right, we're not talking about entities anymore. Right, so now let's talk about some solutions now. Now we're talking about solutions, okay? All right, so there's 5 stages to success. There's also 5 stages to failure for everyone. The rules remain the same. You jump out the window, you're not going up, even if you're rich or poor. The rules remain the same, right? So, let's go through the rules. Stage number 1. If you want to improve your world, if you want to improve your success, if you want to improve your family's world, your friend's world, there's 5 stages to success. Stage number 1 is your belief system. What do you believe? What do you believe that you're short or tall, fat or thin, male or female, black, white, poor, rich? What do you believe? What's your belief system? Now, the most successful people that I've interviewed and worked with over the years, They believe they come from kings. They believe that they deserve to be here. They believe that they deserve to be rich. It's unwavering. Even when you listen to people like Donald Trump, listen to him very keenly. No matter what you think about him, listen to him. He believes he deserves to be president. Right? He believes he deserves. Listen to his words. And no matter what people say about him, you're not going to change that belief system. Right? So what do you believe? Now I want you to write down a list when you get home or so. Be honest, on one side of your column, write down what you believe. And on the other side of the column, write down what you should believe. And this is why history makes so much, this is the reason why when it comes to black history, they strip it away from you or from us. And the reason why they strip it away from us, because if we know we came from kings and queens, we would walk different, we will talk different, we will present ourselves different, our young men will behave different, our young women would behave different. But when you strip something away, you can sell anyone anything, because the belief system is the holy grail to the success and failure. So stage 1 is your belief system. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think stage 2 is, by any chance? Stage 2.
Your mind, well, I suppose it's the same, what you're thinking.
You got it. Stage 2 is your self-talk. Every belief system is connected to a self-talk. If I believe I'm not worthy, what do I say to myself in my mind? I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. She's never gonna like me, she'll never like me, like, I mean, you know, I'm not good enough. Or I would never have that job, or I would never be a millionaire, or I would never. So your self-conversation is directly connected to your belief system. That's why your belief system is everything. For your children, for your family, for your friends, work on their belief system first. When people call me in, I want to know their belief system. I want to know what they currently believe. And remember what we had before? So I'm going to go back to you if you don't mind. I'm going to use a slight example, yeah? So you remember, based upon what you said those fears are, it was connected to a belief system, right? And that belief system went back to childhood. And now that belief system is controlling the next stage of your life, which is what? What's the next stage? Your belief system is connected to your self-talk, which is connected to your actions. So now you don't want to take certain actions because your self-conversation is going to go wrong because the belief system came from.
The only thing for me is that if that, I can understand that if you're in that place as a permanent place, but what I don't necessarily get is how you come in and that, so you don't feel that isn't your being full time, but it does creep in at certain
Well, no,
times.
that's the thing.
It doesn't control the whole of your action.
No, I tell you what it is. It does. I tell you what happens. It moves from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. So let me give you an example, right? I used to do martial arts, yeah? And I got a bad spinal vertebrae damage, permanent damage, and it affected my arm. So every time at one point I used to put my arm up, I used to feel pain. And so I put my arm up, pain, to the point where I stopped putting my arm up too high. This is now my new reality. I've stopped thinking about it being my new reality. So every time I move around, I think life is good because my arm only goes that high. It's only when something happens I have to put my arm higher that pain comes back and I'm reminded of my pain. But my new reality is I only put my hand that high. They've done the same test with they've done a thing with a horse. And I don't know if you've seen it before, they've got pictures and videos of it. And what they've done is they've put, well, let's not talk about the horse. The elephant was more interesting. They put a chain around the elephant's leg and they chained it to something, right? So every time the elephant tried to move its leg, right, it noticed it couldn't move. After about 6 months, they just put the chain on the floor. The elephant doesn't even try to move anymore because it believes if I move my leg, nothing's going to happen. But the chain's not connected to anything anymore. And that's what happens with us. It becomes our subconscious mind. After a while, when we're young, we're enthusiastic. We're going to make it to the moon. We're going to do this. And after a while, someone says, "Get real," and then your realness becomes the limitations of your imagination. That's why you need people around you to say, keep going. Yeah? So as I said, stage 3 is your actions or lack of actions. Stage 4 is your results. Every result is connected to an action. Even no result is still a result. Even no action is still a result. Everything is connected to a result. And then the final stage is knowledge, knowing, experience. So when someone says, do you believe there's a God? If someone says to me, yes, I can change their thought process. It's when someone says, I know there's a God, because they've had experience. And experience are the 4 stages. They once believed there was a God. They were having self-conversations about it. Something happened in their life that made them say, there is a God. I got in that car accident, something happened, and I made it out. The result is I'm still standing here. And afterwards, they turned around and they had a certain, and I talk about this in the book, by the way. And what I talk about in the book is when Tupac first got shot, right? He believed that after that shooting that he was immortal, right? He was just like, oh, that's it. Yeah, his attitude changed. When, oh my gosh, what's his name? He was Palestine. They bombed his house, and he made it out of the. He went for a jog, and the fact that the bomb missed him, his belief became even more stronger in God. Like, God protected me. There's a next one where one of the popes was stabbed with a bayonet, and the other time he was shot, or they tried to kill him. And the fact that he survived, he became more resolute. So what you started to see over and over again, people become even more stronger when things happen to them, but they don't die. People that never think nothing's ever happened to them, they're the ones that struggle. It's a statistical fact. Yeah. So, for example, you would look in Palestine, the Gaza Strip, you will see children throwing stones at people that's got machine guns, and we're sitting there saying that child is crazy, but their reality is different because every day is action. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? Same thing with bombs. They done another research, and when they heard bombs closer to them, it was more of a reality where they could deal with it than people that heard it far further away. People further away were anxious. People that were closer just dealt with it. Yeah? That's why you see knife crimes, children running around stabbing and all the rest of it. Because they're in it, it's different to the people that's observing it. It's a different mindset and attitude. Yeah, so there's a science to this, okay? Alright, so I'm going to finish soon because I know it's getting late. I'm going to finish soon. So, I talk about this guy in my book, Dr. Pansat. Dr. Pansat was very interested in my studies. What I discovered about Dr. Pansat is he got a Nobel Peace Prize for discovering the fact that mice and rats have emotions, right? But they found something even more interesting than that. And I'll just play this to you first.
Oh, is it going to be full of rats?
No, just have a listen. Just have a listen for a moment. Just listen.
What appeared to be the sounds of laughter. And we studied these for a couple of years without quite understanding that this might be laughter. And then one day we decided to tickle some animals. And we realized that we had to look at the sounds at a very different register than we can hear. So we obtained these transducers that are called bat detectors. That can bring very high frequencies down to our auditory range. And when we did this and we listened in, we could tickle animals and generate a lot of vocal activity that appears to be laughter. These animals would begin to enjoy our company, and they would start to play with our hands, and wherever we would put our hands, they would follow it. And when we tested these animals to ask whether they were enjoying this kind of activity, the unambiguous answer was yes.
Right, okay, you can look now. Let me explain what I said.
Hate them with a passion. I
Okay,
hate them with a passion.
so why did I show you that traumatizing video for some
Ooh.
reason? Yeah? I'm going to explain the reason why.
Oh,
He started to discover that we have brain systems within our brain, right? And these systems control the way that we operate in the world. And when I'm working with, once again, my clients, and I talk about this in the book as well. By the way, the book's got worksheets in there to help you with all of these in stages, okay? So, let me tell you what he discovered. Let me show you. He discovered that we have 7 systems in our brain. If we can master these 7 systems within our brain, we win. So, you know, some people always say, Kevin, how did you deal with so much death in your life? How did you deal with your son dying? How did you deal with your brother being killed? How did you deal with your dad having cancer? How do you deal with other siblings dying? Because I follow the science. And I'm happier than a lot of people who ain't gone through half as much as I am. Because I exercise certain parts of my brain on purpose, deliberately, not to be in that place of victim mode or trauma. So let me explain what some of them are. We have 7 systems in the brain. One of them is called the seeking system. So important. The seeking system is about enthusiasm. Yeah? Never, ever, 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 under no circumstances, lose your enthusiasm. Go out, go for a walk, observe things, look at the trees, go window shopping, go into the mountain. But it's so important to keep your enthusiasm going. Even in a relationship, relationships die when the enthusiasm dies. Right? It's so important. Enthusiasm. Brain system number 2 is the rage and anger system. The rage and anger system goes back to when we was fighting saber-toothed tigers and all the rest of it. We need that system to stay alive. We need that system. Here's where it goes wrong. That system is only designed to switch on and off in moments. Most people live there. Yeah? So we need that system, but we don't need it switched on too long. Right? The next system is the fear system. Once again, we need the fear system because you may be walking down the road 2 o'clock in the morning and you see 10 guys with hoodies on. You need that alert. You need to be alert to know there's potential danger. I feel fear. But it's not designed to switch on too long. This is where depression and stuff comes from, when these systems stay on too long. So we have to find ways to switch them off. Does that make sense?
It totally does, because that's that whole feeling of why don't I live in that space all the time?
Yes.
Which I don't want to.
Especially if it's parents that tell you.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. No, you're right. You're spot on. You're spot on. So that's why I said we have to master our minds. Yeah? The next one is our lust system. Well, you know what lust means, right? So once again, the desire to be with someone, the how we may lust over them is healthy, but in moderation and proportion. Yeah? So it's very important within moderation and proportion. The lust system can be on, but it can't be on too long. So the lust system a lot of times is connected to porn and all the rest of it when it's switched on too long. Yeah? That's where addiction comes from. Yeah? So these are the systems. Remember, the seeking system. The seeking system is about enthusiasm. Right? The rage and the anger system is designed to make you catch your food. Yeah? It's important for you to fight for your will to live. Right? As I said before, the fear system. How many fear systems do you have? Do you remember? How many? How many fear systems?
4.
No.
5,
No.
7.
No. No. There's 8 of them. Got to remember your systems. Remember, there's 8 systems that control you. 8 fear systems. So when a government calls me in, they may turn around. For example, there was a. Can I talk about it? There was a shooting in the beach in a particular country. We can figure it out.
Yeah.
When that shooting on the beach happened, I got called in by the government, and they said that the fear system in the country is very high. They said we need to change the vibrational frequency of the country. What can we do to change it? I had to then put a system in, so I had to first understand what vibrational frequency. So do you remember what the frequencies are? Protons, electrons, and then what's the next ones? Neutrons. What does electrons do? Just so you can remember. Negative. Protons? So where do most people potentially live in? Electron or proton zone? Electron zones. Why do they live in electron zones? Because media, governments. Remember what happened in COVID? If you don't do this, what happens? So people like me, not me, people like me come in as strategists and say, let's control the vibrational frequency of the country. So when I get called in, so for example, when I'm doing my talk to the US Embassy tomorrow, I know what they're going to ask me on the side. They're going to say, we have a problem here, Kevin. How do you think we should deal with it? I know what they're really saying, but there's cameras there. So right, anyway, right? So the next system is this, right? Is the care system. The care system is very interesting. The care system for women, anyone who have children here by any chance? Children? Okay. Before you had your first child, was there a fear of, can I look after this child? There was, yeah? Yeah, there was. Your first child, not your second or your third, but the first time you had a child, was there a fear like, can I do this? Right. What happens when you then have your first child? Something secretes to your brain and it's connected to your care system. You become more caring. So statistically as well, women who normally have children are more loving in their relationships normally than women who don't. Because women who have children learn to be more caring. At night, they've got to get up in the middle of the night, they've got to look after their child. So they start to learn after a period of time a routine of caring. Now, not obviously all people, but that's the system that gets switched on. So we tend to be a bit more selfish until children sometimes, yeah? We become more loving after that. Not everyone, obviously, but that's what gets switched on, yeah? Does that make sense at all? Yeah? Okay, then the next system is the panic and the grief system. When you're grieving, that's the next system that's in your brain that switches on. And the next one is your play system. The play system for me is one of the most underrated systems that happens in our brain. Now I'm going to tell you what happens. When you're a child, the play system is where your best friends normally come from. Your best memories come from. Someone told us in those entities that we spoke about before, someone told us that as you get older, stop playing, be an adult, stop being childish. Now, this is what happens. Based upon frequencies, nothing disappears, it just transforms from one to another. So, what happens is, when you start to compress your play system, and you're not doing your seeking system, what systems then pop forward? Your fear system. So what happens, the parts of your brain is, you're either fearing something, or you're doing something else. Yeah? So when people are normally grieving, they don't have no space for play. When people are angry, there's no space for play. When people are fearful, there's no space for play. When people are going through rage, there's no space for enthusiasm. This is the reason why you need people around you that's going to force your brain and force your world to move into the vibrational frequency of seeking, play. You have to find things to do for play. It's so important. I remember two cases. One, I remember when the Iraq War was happening and George Bush was playing golf. And there's another time when do you remember that time? And the world was upset. Why are you playing golf? And there's a war going on. They understand how the science goes. They're like, I'm not getting depressed like you lot. I'm turning on my play system. Same thing what happened with David Cameron. He went on holiday. Tony Blair went on holiday. All these, just observe it now. When there's trials and tribulations, leaders go on holidays. They play golf because they understand that they're moving they're changing their frequency. So everyone's walking around angry and they're like, no, we don't do that. That's the difference between the 1%ers and the 99 or 10%ers or so. I'm assuming you're shortly finished, yeah? I know you're finishing now, okay? All right. Is this making sense at all, yeah? Yeah? All right. So this is how we become powerful, yeah? I'm going to race through some of these. So this is the final part. Now, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to introduce into your life now in order for you to become happier, more powerful, all the rest of it. Let me go through them very quickly. 1, build your dreams. Just keep building dreams. That creates enthusiasm. I don't care how crazy the dreams sound. Go back to being a child again. Build those dreams. It gives you enthusiasm. Right? Next one, exercise. Exercise. Even if you're not one to go to the gym, you can do like brisk walking. So brisk walking is like 100 steps every 60 seconds. If anything is a special pill for something like depression, it's brisk walking.
Wow.
Trust me, try it. You'll be surprised. Yeah? Rest. Getting rest, obviously, we know. Getting adequate sleep. Next one, eating the right food. As we know, so I'm just racing through these, okay? Because time's up. Socializing around the right people. Remember we spoke about different frequencies of people. Yeah. Laughter and smiling. Trust me, you tell your brain and your body what to do and the rest will follow. Just like if your car breaks down and it's not, the battery's not powering up, what do? You push start it. So this is push starting. Yeah? Singing, dancing, I'm gonna race through this. Listen to the right music. The science to listen to the right music is so important. Watching the right stuff on TV, long walks. There's a science to walking, by the way, as well. When you're walking, find the furthest thing from you and stare at that. That helps your posture, right? And it opens your frequency. That's why when people say, "Are you feeling down?" Feeling down is also connected to looking down. Yeah. So, and then that means you've got low frequency, and it bounces right back, which then gives you negative thoughts of suicide a lot of times. Yeah. Window shopping. Reading and studying. These are all in the book, by the way. Spells, spelling, spells. It all comes from that same thing Courtney was talking about earlier on, so I'm going to go into that. Vibrational colours. I wear colours not because of fashion, I wear colours because of frequency. So even my socks right now, they're there for a reason. Yeah? Even when I go on interviews, etc., I wear certain yellow colours because I know exactly what I want to do from a frequency perspective. There's a science to it. I talk about that in the book as well. Meditation, prayer, etc. We know about those. Pampering, so important. Swimming, so important. Diet.
I love to swim on the beach.
Oh, sorry, take a picture if you can. I could go on, but I have to stop now because time's up. But the rest is in the book. If you like a copy of the book, please let me know. I can sign it now as well. And I'll give you my details because I'd love to hear your views and stuff afterwards. Sorry?
Do you have the books?
That's a very good question. I've got 4 here, I believe, or 5.
One is mine. One is mine.
Yeah. All right. So I want to thank you very much. This is what you call Kaizen. Look up the word Kaizen, by the way. It's a Japanese term, what they used to be the American economy. Kai means continuous. Zen means improvement. So what I want you to do from now on, 7 days. There's only 28 days in a month, by the way. 7 quarters. And this is a science, once again. I can do a whole workshop on this. Once again, when elite people call me and these are the things we talk about, they'll say to me, let's talk about